The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions.
Grand Rising Free Thinkers, this is TD9 Podcast. I'm your host, Ted.
And as usual, I'm your host, Jay.
And I'm back.
All right, man. So, 2 brains, double the wisdom, double the nonsense. Let's get into it.
Boom.
Let's start with Snoop Dogg, yeah? Uncle Snoop. You know, you probably heard about the controversy already, but I still want to cover it. So, the same dude who built his whole career on being, realer than real, recently gained a lot of attention from media because he didn't want LGBTQ stuff pushed in kids' media.
Right. I remember earlier just this year, he was surprised that they had a lesbian couple in the new Buzz Lightyear movie. He literally said, "Why do kids have to see this at this early age?"
Well, look, these are kids that we have to show that at this age, like
that part.
They're going to ask questions. And like, and she had a baby with a woman. Oh, I didn't come in for this. They putting it everywhere.
Exactly. I don't believe kids need to see it at all. But obviously, he wasn't cool with it.
And now suddenly, boom, he's adding LGBTQ representation in his own children's show, Doggyland.
Love is Love is a record that my kids program, Doggyland, presented me. Where it's the song where it's teaching love is love, it's teaching parenthood, it's teaching the situations that kids and the world is going through right now in a beautiful way through song, dance, melody. And I think that being able to have parents of all walks of life, whether it's 2 fathers, 2 mothers, whatever it is, love is the key. And I think these kids are being loved by these great parents that are, showing them an example of what family is. So I want to give a shout out to all of the parents out there for doing such a great job with these kids.
What changed, Snoop?
They probably pulled Snoop to the side like, "Come here, nephew. You know I love you, right?"
Probably left him with that, "You got me, cool."
Facts. He came back from that meeting like, "Y'all go ahead and add that rainbow dog to the cartoon. It's all love."
So, Ted, do you really think he changed his mind? Was it the money or possibly blackmail?
Man, probably both. He probably watching that show like this.
Kids program Doggyland presented me.
Man, so whatever it is, they basically, they definitely gave him that talk. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely. It's always the same pattern though. You speak your mind, then boom, they pull you to the side and you come back smiling with a whole new message. We've seen this happen on more than a few occasions with some notable figures such as the comedian Kevin Hart, the conservative political strategist Rick Colby, and even the singer Macy Gray.
That's how it goes when you get out of line. He flipped the script. And speaking of flipping the script, a lot of us are probably wondering, how come when Trump ran the first time, everything seemed okay? The economy was good. Gas was cheap.
Right. People were excited because the Donald gave us a $2,000 stimmy check. Even though that came out of our taxes, which I told people, this is America. In America, there is nothing that's free.
Exactly.
The fact is, things were looking up though. He gained the trust of the American people so much so that when he ran that third time, people who normally voted Democrat voted Republican.
Yeah, because so much was going on, like chaos. Sorry, my leg was itchy. When the Democrats were in power, bro, the American people looked for change. But after electing Donald Trump, his campaign has been running completely different than when he did the first time. Donald literally flipped the script.
Yeah. And honestly, it was probably according to plan. Remember, we keep telling you guys that one side creates the problem and the other side offers a solution to the problem that usually comes with a fine print that you got to read. They have to strip us of our rights in order to restore the peace that we once had. Hillary Clinton once said,
Never waste a good crisis.
So I'm going to remind you guys about the DOD directive. You remember the name of it?
Oh yeah, I do. It was DoD Directive 5240.01.
Gotcha. Remember that one. So we talked about that on a previous episode titled "The Thin Blue Line," right? So which this is when the Biden administration they updated that, right? The DoD directive we spoke of that will allow militarizing of the police, but at the same time, right? Biden warned that Trump was going to use that power, that he's going to abuse that power, right? So then, why update this bill right before he left? Like, why did he do that? So behind closed doors, he's essentially handing Trump that same power that he needed, but then in public warned about the potential abuse of that power.
Once again, we're just asking, why would he give that amount of power and control over to Donald Trump?
Yeah. Also remember, when the Democrats were in power, when Biden was in, there were open borders, crime in many cities, and I do want to state, I'm not claiming that all immigrants are criminals, not at all. Just saying that there was no vetting, so we get a variety of people, good and bad. That's just humanity. And then there are some immigrants who are given, social programs like food stamps. Now, and I don't think that we're given that because I don't think the Democrats give them that because they actually care. But they're creating the problem, setting it up for the next administration to offer that solution, right? And while doing that, they're going to take away rights from the people. So each presidency, we get squeezed a little bit more and more. Each presidency, we have a little bit less rights than last time. And now we're here. Now, what is this administration doing?
Right. Using that same power that was given to them, those cities that were high in crime, now, oddly enough, they have increased policing and even have the National Guard deployed.
Yeah, true. And now, those forces are already there in those cities, right? So just in case, let's say there's martial law declared, and calling for martial law, I don't think is too far of a stretch because we have increased domestic terrorism and in general just more political violence. Recently Charlie Kirk was just assassinated, not too long ago. So whether you believe it was Tyler Robinson or not, wherever you look online, there's people talking about Civil War anxiety.
Robert Pape, a professor at the University of Chicago, has been working on a newer concept he calls violent populism, meaning something between civil war and nasty politics as usual, where there's a certain level of demand for or acceptance of violence.
All it would take is a potential psyop. We don't just have bad actors that are agent provocateurs of our own government to sabotage us, but now we could potentially be facing AI-created fake violent events that would get people just as riled up.
True. And then because of the food stamps given to immigrants, now this current administration is going to cause none of the American people to have these SNAP programs because they're trying to punish the few who do have it.
And notice how the media plays us. A lot of conservative channels were only showing videos of people who were talking about stealing, since they're not going to be getting their food stamps anymore. Where that could be possibly true, that doesn't make up the majority of the people who are actually on food stamps.
Yeah, the majority of people on food stamps or SNAP programs are American citizens. But then again, I keep seeing the right-wing videos of people talking about immigrants being the majority of people on SNAP programs. But check this out.
There are 42 million people in this country that need food stamps on a weekly basis. And we're saying people deliberately instead of Americans because most of the people that are on food stamps aren't even from this country. 45% of Afghanistan immigrants are on food stamps. 42% of Somali immigrants, 34% of every immigrant from Iraq, 23% of Haitians, 59% of all illegal aliens are collecting food stamps, meaning that most of the people getting food stamps from the U.S. government and the U.S. taxpayer are not even Americans. Think about that.
Listen to the wording here. I believe this is intentionally misleading. He notes that more than 50% of immigrants are on food stamps, and let's say that that's true. I don't disagree with that.
And I actually found where that study comes from. Now, the speaker on Newsmax, I don't know who watches them anyway, is framing it as if 50% of the people on food stamps are immigrants. But that's not what the study says. The study says that out of the immigrants that are on food stamps, matter of fact, out of the immigrants that are here, 50% of them are on food stamps or any kind of SNAP programs. Now, from every piece of research that I could find, the majority of Americans are on food stamps, and it's something as small as 11% of immigrants are actually getting food stamps. So the only reason they're even eligible for those programs is because they have an American-born child.
Right. Okay. So what you're saying basically is don't let these people lie to you.
Yes.
They're going to get you to give up your own rights and means of help in order to punish a small percentage of people. Then it's those who are looking at this through a racial lens. We keep seeing all the memes, black and brown people on food stamps, and like we mentioned earlier, a lot of conservative speakers are showing videos of the people claiming to steal. Don't you think that that's on purpose? I mean, yeah, there probably are some bad actors, but breaking this up into racial statistics, like that even matters. We see that 35% of white America are actually on SNAP programs, and 26% of black America is on SNAP programs. So the people looking at this thinking that they're going to be punishing black people, they're actually going to be punishing white people to a far greater percentage.
And now if we're talking about like purely children recipients, the number goes, like, to be fair, the number goes about 45% for black families, 28% for Hispanic families, and only 12% for white families. Why? And I also want to bring up that the percent of black people that are on SNAP programs, that just shows that it's mostly assigned to children. Right. And then the percentage of white Americans, that's showing that adults. So most of the white Americans that are on SNAP programs are adults. So that's probably grandmas, grandpas, or the veterans that conservative claim to love so much. All of that's going to be taken away from them.
And once again, the American people were conned into giving away their benefits and rights. And sadly, a lot of Americans think it's to punish someone else, when in reality, they're punishing themselves.
Yeah, and we see both parties just blaming each other. And why they pretend to fight, and why the American people actually fight, like, and also in the comments, we're the only ones who are being screwed, because during this government shutdown, guess what? Congress is still being paid.
It's not that the country, quote, ran out of money. It's that the oligarchs in DC can't agree on how to spend the money we already have. Every year, Congress has to pass a budget that gives money to federal agencies like USDA, the IRS, the military, etc. And right now, the big fight is over healthcare, specifically the Affordable Care Act premium subsidies.
Right. So Democrats want to include an extension to these subsidies. And in the new government funding bill, there are some premium tax credits that help people afford healthcare insurance. So basically, the Affordable Care Act, like, without it, we would see insurance costs double next year.
Right. But Republicans are saying,
hold up, wait a minute.
That's a separate issue. They want a, quote, clean bill. They want just enough to keep the government running for now without adding new policies or spending.
I'm not going to mention all the money that we're giving away to other countries. And I don't just mean aid. I mean things like weapons of war. And I believe we just gave $20 billion to Argentina in order to fix their economy while our economy is in shambles. But because Republicans don't want to spend any extra money, they're saying that the Affordable Care Act should be on a different bill and not calculated into this government funding bill.
Exactly. The USDA, which runs SNAP, needs that new funding bill to keep benefits flowing. But since Congress hasn't passed it yet, things are in limbo. Some states have already been told to pause November SNAP benefits because there's not enough contingency money left.
All right. And both sides are just stuck blaming each other. Democrats say that the president's legally required to release what funds are available, while Republicans are saying Democrats are holding up the vote by trying to get these healthcare subsidies. Subsidies. Keep that in.
Right. So basically, Democrats are using the government funding bill as leverage to get Republicans to extend those ACA subsidies. But the downside is that real people are getting caught in the middle. Depending on SNAP, small businesses with federal contracts, federal employees, all waiting on Congress to stop playing tug of war.
All right. So when you hear government shutdown, just know it's not about money running out. It's about it's a political strategy. One side's using healthcare as leverage, and the other side's using the shutdown to pressure them to back down.
Right. And guess what? The Affordable Care Act is due to expire at the end of this year. So while people are cheering on the ending of SNAP programs, which is cheering on the government shutdown, because that's what it's doing, if the government stays shut down long enough for the ACA to expire, then then both sides will essentially be screwed. Over 40 million Americans will be left without food stamps, while you're thinking you're punishing the minorities and the immigrants, but in reality, again, we're punishing ourselves. And then at the same time, your health insurance is going to double next year.
Yeah, so even if they hold out, and let's say they don't resolve this issue until January, February, whatever, that's months without food stamps, which hurts a lot of Americans. And many federal employees are laid off. And then, even if let's say they bring the food stamps back, let's say they bring it back March or whatever, all these people just went without health care. But then also, because we let the Affordable Care Act end, your health insurance just cost like doubled.
Right. Another part I really think we should hammer in is how political leaders and social media influencers are pushing a narrative. Perhaps they're not doing their due diligence and researching every point. Maybe they're just repeating what other politicians and influencers have said. Or this could all be intentional.
Exactly. For instance, let's look at Senator John Kennedy, right? He goes on Fox News, says that the reason the Democrats are pushing for this healthcare bill is because they want to fund billions of dollars into the LGBTQ programs in the United States and elsewhere.
Kennedy listed out nearly $20 million in foreign aid funding that he alleged Democrats had their eyes on, including $4.2 million for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex people in the Western Balkans, wherever that is, and Uganda. $3.6 million for pastry cooking classes and dance-focused groups for male prostitutes in Haiti. Whoa. $6 million for media organizations for the Palestinians, and $3 million for circumcisions and vasectomies in Zambia.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so he also accused congressional Democrats of seeking hundreds of thousands for electric buses in Rwanda, some, funding for transgender people in Nepal, and even a pride parade in
Lesotho? I think it is.
Thank you. And for social media membership in Siberia.
Yeah.
Serbia, excuse me.
Serbia, right. Alright. Now all of this does sound plausible, but the only thing is Kennedy's office didn't supply Fox News with any evidence of the claims he was making. Could he be telling the truth? Could he be pushing a narrative? Or is he trying to make sure the blame stays on the Democratic side?
Don't know, but either way, still proves our point. So if he's telling the truth, Democrats are putting us in a hole where we have to support things we don't believe in, such as spreading this LGBTQ nonsense around the world. We have to agree with that in order to keep our healthcare cheap. Or he's lying and they're just squeezing us so people can still applaud, the food stamps being cut off, not knowing that our healthcare is going to end. So if they hold out past December, it raises the healthcare anyway. So, and of course, they're going to blame the Democrats.
Now, about social media influencers, from prominent people like Matt Walsh and the Hodge twins, to the real America fakes like Nick Fuentes, even content creators and average Joes, they're repeating the same thing. And with many of these pages, they're showing you content like this.
This just gives you a little bit of a snapshot as to the entitlement of the people on welfare, and also the criminal nature, because virtually every single one of them describes how they're going to now commit crimes and just straight up steal because the government isn't giving them free food.
And in fact, if you look at what food stamp recipients are saying in their own words, you come away with the distinct impression that almost none of these people actually need the food stamps. Instead, you come away with the impression that many of these people are simply entitled, lazy, barely literate, and some of them are just frankly bad people.
You take care of you. Won't you get a real job and a man? That's what you need. A job? And go find you one of them canes. No, she one of them strong black women. She don't need no man.
Y'all better stay the out of my way in these stores. I'm walking out with carts and I'm not paying for shit.
But my people ran out of stores with the cart.
All right. We're not saying these things aren't true. The people literally posted it on social media, potentially incriminating themselves. But I ask you, why do they only show you that? Why don't they show you this as well?
A South Carolina couple is under arrest after being accused of food stamp fraud. In Beaufort County, authorities say 41-year-old Dennis Phillips and 44-year-old Jennifer Phillips are now facing charges. An arrest warrant says the couple did not report Jennifer Phillips' income and they were able to fraudulently get more than $20,000 in SNAP benefits. The case will be prosecuted by the 14th Judicial Circuit Solicitor's Office.
Or how Tabitha was in connection with a $34,000 food stamp scam. Or how Betsy received over $22,000 in SNAP benefits. And this is all in 2025. Like, this isn't in the past, this is now. So why aren't these conservative speakers, showing the full picture? There are thieves on both sides. Now ask yourself this. Do they have you mad at one group of people when the theft is being done by all people?
And these are the same group of people who will tell you that it's not about race, that we're all Americans, but on both sides, Democrat and Republicans, they only show you a negative of each race.
Exactly. So Democrats are constantly showing racism from white Americans, right? And then you have Republicans on the other side showing racism from black Americans. And I ask you this, are they intentionally causing division? The things they're showing you are not true, but they showed you that in such a way that it made it true.
Exactly, man. I don't care about what any of these people have to say. I mean, realistically, anybody can get on TV or on social media and lie. But what scripture says in Matthew chapter 7, verses 15 through 16, beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruits.
So words mean nothing. You have to pay attention to what these people produce, their fruit. And from what I see, they're producing division, destruction, doublespeak, manipulating the narrative, or just flat out lies.
Now we ask, could it be they're just repeating what other people are saying from the top down? They're not doing their due diligence and researching, or they have their own agendas to push.
Right, so you decide. But what we're doing, me and Ted, we're doing what the news is actually supposed to do. We're laying out everything for you, unbiased as possibly we can be, and allow you to come to your own conclusion based on the evidence.
Exactly, an actual news source.
I can switch up standing for me, saying trying to hold me back, I break the curse. Talk to God every day like favorite cousin. They know my name around town because I'm buzzing. It's past 4 in the